Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. It's a gentle yoga practice. Our class today is called Be Your Best. Now, I was inspired by the pose Vashisthasana, which means side plank pose. It's a pretty demanding posture, but when you're in it, it reminds me of a star that's shining brightly. And so we're going to be our best and shine as brightly as we can. Now, we will be practicing the pose, but in a modified version. Okay, so for our props, you might want to have something soft to sit on. That could be a big pillow or cushion. Here's my yoga bolster. I have that handy. You might need a yoga block or just something that can prop you up. That can be a hardbound book or even another, maybe a more firm pillow. And I am sitting on a blanket. You want to have something soft to sit on, like a pillow or a blanket will do just fine. We'll also may need it for our side plank pose. All right, go ahead and join me in a comfortable seated position. I like to cross my legs here. If that's not comfortable for you, that's okay. Feel free to extend your legs if that's better for you. Or if you need to, sit in a chair or sit on the floor on something soft but up against a wall to support your back. Now, once you're in place, be sure your spine feels long, torso is lifted, and just take a few deep breaths. A nice full breath in. And a complete breath out through the mouth. A nice sigh of release. Do that again. Nice full breath in. Exhale completely. Feel your shoulders relax. Give them a little roll there too. Now go ahead and just settle into steady breathing. We'll take some time here just to continue focusing on the breath. Feel free to keep your eyes opened. You can just take a soft gaze forward or downward. Or feel free to close your eyes. Just pay attention to your breathing. Notice the feeling of the breath. Pay attention to the sound of the breath. And even in these first few moments of our practice, we are already doing yoga. Just paying attention fully and completely to the breath is a form of yoga. Feel the steadiness of the breath. Noticing how your body and your mind begin to relax. And just to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath, as you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. In a complete exhale. Now, inhale, same thing. Feel the breath rising, filling up your lungs. Now, on this exhale, as you're able, draw your navel inward toward your spine. It's just a little pulling action in your belly, just to engage the abdominal lock. It's just a light contraction of your abdominal muscles. Do that again. A nice full breath in. Feel the lengthening in your spine, the filling up of your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in. Connecting to your center. Now just continue with that. Few more breaths. Continuing to tune in and be more aware. Soon the breath will help move our bodies, guide us, and support us. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Prepare your body to move, just as the breath helps us to be in stillness and a complete awareness. Breath helps us to move. When you're ready, inhale, extend your arms out across the room, then all the way up as if you're going to touch the ceiling. So a good effort, just treat it like a nice stretch. Exhale, extend your arms out as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you. And back down. Again, full breath in, reaching out, all the way up. Touch the sky. And as you exhale, reach across the room as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you. And let the arms rest down by your side. Now go ahead and do that a few more times on your own. You're moving at your own breath pace. So feel free to move on your own, not needing to follow exactly how I'm moving. Just as we are fully aware of the breath, now we are aware of how the breath is moving the body or how it affects the body as we are in motion. So for example, as you inhale and reach up, you might feel a lengthening through the side of your body, still filling up your lungs, opening your heart. And as you exhale and the arms come down, you're still engaging that abdominal lock, feeling the belly button pull in towards spine. All right, now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more. Very nice. Just take your time. Good. And when you're done, just let your arms come down, just come to a resting position and find stillness. Now, as we start moving towards side plank pose, the parts of the body that will be affected will be our arms, upper body, and our shoulders. So we'll be doing a little bit of shoulder work. Also kind of the sides of the body too, so some light stretches for the side of the body too. While still seated, just bring your hands behind you. Just prop yourself up onto your fingertips like this. You're going to roll the shoulders back, allowing the heart to open, chest expand a little bit more, and then even tip your chin up just a tiny bit. I like to think of this as a mild seated back bend, a heart opener. Now, as you inhale, feel the breath rising upward to fill up your lungs as best as you can. So a nice expansive breath. You might even feel a stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. Exhale, draw the belly button in towards spine. Let's do that again. Nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in, and adding one more action, squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you, just to activate your upper back muscles. It's a nice way to feel that support not only in the low belly as we exhale, but also in the upper back, engaging those muscles. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. And when you're complete, just lower your chin so your neck is neutral. Go ahead and walk your hands towards yourself here so you're sitting up nice and tall. You can even just let your arms rest down by your side or hands in your lap. Just coming to a neutral position. Now we just did a back bend, now we'll do a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, you might want to uncross the legs and just bring the soles of your feet together. Like this is a hip opener and it's cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. And the binding part of that posture is just holding on to your legs. We're going to inhale and just feel the extension of the spine. Exhale, draw belly button in and start to hinge forward, leading with your heart and chin just a little bit, not much. Inhale, once again, continue to feel that full length of spine. Exhale, pull belly in for support as you hinge forward just a little bit, leading with heart and chin. And that's about as far as we need to go. I change my hand hold from my ankles here to my feet. Now we're just going to hold here. Now I could go all the way down or deeper into this pose, and you're certainly welcome to do that. You can just lower your chin, lower your head a little bit, and you might feel a natural curve of the spine and perhaps even more sensation in the inner legs as a light stretch. And that's all we really need and want right here. You don't need to force yourself into this pose or any pose that we practice in soft flow. This is about taking our time, moving gently, moving with intention. And that intention is to feel this continual ease in our bodies throughout the entire practice. Let's take 2 more breaths here. After that second breath, if your back is rounded and your chin is lowered, just lift the chin a little bit to get that re-extension of the neck and spine, and then hinge your way back up so you're nice and tall in your seat. And again, we'll just come to stillness here. Here, let's make a transition to our hands and knees. This is where you may want to have a blanket or even a towel, something soft to kneel on, just to protect your wrists and your knees. And once you're here in this tabletop position, we're moving through two poses that flow together, cat and cow. It starts with cow. It's an inhale where you tip the chin up or look forward. You're tipping the tailbone back or tipping the pelvis back, arching the back like this. This is cow pose. It's kind of like a back bend. Exhale, scoop the pelvis underneath. Feel your belly button pull up towards spine. Feel the natural curve of the spine. Chin dips down towards chest. Let's just continue that. As you inhale, feel the pelvis tip back. Your belly will naturally drop, creating the back bend. Heart opens, look forward. Exhale, round it all out. Now, several benefits to this pose. One, we're getting a nice undulation through the spine, so getting some nice mobility through the whole back body. We're getting that movement through the pelvis. And also with the arms and shoulders. Remember, our side plank pose will involve our arms and shoulders. And so as you're here, make sure your palms feel firmly connected to the ground, almost pushing into the floor, and just feel the energy of your strong, straight arms. And be sure, as best as you can, that your arms are straight here. All right, go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths, still flowing through cat and cow. And then just pause here in a neutral tabletop position. Go ahead and crawl off of your blanket. We're going to set it to the side here. Come back to hands and knees. Let's set ourselves up for downward facing dog. Here, spread out your fingers pretty wide and then step your hands forward a little bit so they're out from underneath your shoulders. As you spread your fingers, you might even feel a stretch between each finger. In that same press into the mat, flat palms here. Feel the energy of your strong, straight arms. Really good stability of the upper body. Let's tuck the toes under. Let's do one more set of cat and cow. Inhale to cow. That's the back bend. Exhale, round it out into cat pose. Hold cat pose. Feel the belly button pull up towards spine. Make sure your toes are tucked and lift your knees off the ground and send your hips up into the air. And of course, the hands pushing into the floor will help that transition. If you need to adjust your feet on your mat, even adjust your hands a little bit on your mat. As you settle into the pose, feel free to keep the knees pretty bent here, hips lifting up into the sky. Strong arms, even feel like your biceps or your upper arms here squeezing towards your earlobes. All right, we're going to take a step forward, several steps forward. So we're standing in the center of the mat. Just be sure your feet are flat on the ground, and then slide your fingertips towards your toes. You'll be in forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees to extend your spine. So we're only rising up halfway. Make sure your knees stay bent here, so you have the support of your hamstrings, your thighs, and your core body as we are in this half forward fold. Just for a breath. From here, just shift your weight into your heels so your toes feel light. Bend your knees, feel like your hips are lowering down into a chair. Look forward and take your arms out to the side like they were airplane wings. Drive your heels into the floor until you're standing up nice and tall. Reach all the way up into the sky. Extended mountain pose is the name here. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. So we've made our way to our first standing position, mountain pose. So let's just kind of check in. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. Toes are pointing forward. That's going to create a nice alignment for the hips. Nice and tall. Just like in seated, nice lengthened spine. Just roll your shoulders back, arms down by your side, and just flip your palms forward. Let's just take a moment here, take a couple of breaths as we connect to mountain pose. While we're here, we're just going to do that same motion as we did seated, just arms up and down, just to get more into our arms, shoulders, and the sides of our body. Here we go. Inhale, extend the arms all the way up. Feel that lengthening and stretch through the side bodies. Exhale, bring your arms back down, still reaching across the room as if you're touching the walls. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reaching out all the way up. Notice the shoulders in motion, strong straight arms, energetic fingers. One last time. Inhale, reaching out all the way up. Imagine you're touching the ceiling. Exhale, touch the walls, and then arms down by your side. All right, now we're going to do a half salute to the sun. Basically, we're going to add on to this sequence where we just brought the arms up, but we'll do a forward fold and then come right back up. I'm going to stand here at the top of my mat. Follow me. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, again, spread your wings, bend your knees, this time sending your hips back as if you're sitting into a chair behind you, lowering your chest down towards your thighs. Let your head relax, hands and fingers will come down. You might touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands back up to your shins or knees. Return to that halfway lift here. Exhale, refold. You don't have to go all the way down, just a refold. We're going to stand from here, shifting weight into your heels, bend your knees, lower your hips, lift your chest. This is really to extend the torso. Arms out to the side. Once again, drive heels into the floor to help you stand up nice and tall. Reach up towards the sky. Finish with an exhale. Arms return to your side. Excellent. Let's just hold here and just get into the shoulders again. Big circles, a few times backward, and we'll do a few times forward. I also want you to get into your wrists a little bit here. I like to just do circles with the wrists, both directions. A little flexing, and then drop, okay? Just getting into the hands a little bit. And if you can, wiggle your fingers. Alrighty? Because plank pose or side plank pose is going to involve that pressure into our hands, especially in the wrists like this, in that form, and strong arms, active shoulders. All right, let's get into the next portion of our sun salutation. Starting a mountain, here we go. Inhale, extend your arms out and up, reach for the sky. Exhale, swan dive forward, so arms come out to the side. Bend your knees, sit back into your imaginary chair, lowering chest towards thighs. Hands come down, lower your head, relax your neck. Inhale, slide your hands up the legs, halfway lift. Now on this exhale, fold, bend your knees as much as you can here, all the way down so your hands touch the floor. Now your back will probably round, that's perfect. And start stepping, walking the feet back to the back end of your mat once they are there. Just center your body or align your body so you're in this straight line. So this is plank pose. We'll be turning sideways eventually to side plank pose, but this is building that strength. All right, nice full breath in. As you exhale, bend your knees and then send your hips up into the air, returning to down dog. Now you might need to tiptoe forward a little bit and then even out to the side a little bit. Even adjust your hands. I like to take mine a little wider so my shoulders and neck have a little bit more space. Keep a softness in the knees. That will keep mobility in your hips so you can send them up higher. As the hips go up, hands press more firmly into the floor. Arms squeeze in towards ears so you have straight, strong arms. Let's add a lunge. Let's inhale, pick up the right foot, extend the right leg straight back. It doesn't have to lift high, just back behind you. Inhale. This exhale, bend your right knee, bring your right knee in underneath you towards your chin, shifting your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are over your wrists. You can take a look at that. And then set this right foot down, just onto your toes. Once it's landed, set the left knee onto the floor. We're making a transition. We're just trying to get the foot to the top of the mat, but it didn't quite make it, so I'm just assisting it. So I'm going to pick up my right hand, go get my right foot, pick it up and place it up a little higher on the mat so it's near the right hand. Once I'm there, I'm picking up the left knee. I'm going to turn that whole leg so the left heel is on the floor, so the whole foot is on the floor. Now, a lot of my weight is forward. I need to find my center and balance. So you can see I'm kind of shifting my weight back, more pressure in this back foot. I'm turning my torso so the top of my head is pointing forward, rising up to fingertips to help extend spine. These are just all pointers to help you set up a pose so you're well aligned and you can safely move into the next posture. Just bring both hands up to the thigh, push into the thigh to help you lift until you're nice and tall, perpendicular to the floor. And then take the arms up with an inhale. Exhale, just bend the knees or this front knee a little bit as you settle into warrior one. Let's hold here for a couple breaths. Okay, nice energetic reach of the arms into the sky with this posture. Also a nice hip opener. Inhale here. You're going to exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Just like this. Check in with the back arm and the front arm. Be sure that back arm isn't dropped. Just lift it so it's parallel to the floor. Let's check in with alignment. Be sure your right knee and your toes are pointing forward. This is warrior two, and our nice transition from here into side angle. So let's reach forward to angle the upper half of the body just a little bit, and then rotate the arms. Just so the right arm is reaching down to the 6 on a clock, while the left arm is reaching into the air, pointing towards the 12 on a clock. And just reach dynamically in both directions. Nice opening up through the front body, chest and hips. We're going to get a little bit more into the side body here to lengthen and stretch. So you're going to reach this left hand overhead, reaching. Now just to kind of remember what we are working towards, we're working towards side plank pose. The Sanskrit name is Vashisthasana, and sometimes it's considered the pose of excellence. So doing our best, be your best. And that's what we're doing in our practice, just do your best. Let's breathe in. As I exhale, I like to lift a little bit so I have a little bit more space to move through the waistline. Turn to face forward, bring both arms forward, flip the palms up, and then fold. So I'm going to catch myself on the hands here. Once they've landed, rotate that back leg so I'm on my toes, heel is lifted. Same firm press into the floor with the hands, strong arms, slide right foot back, plank pose. Let's take a quick breather here. Let's bring the knees to the floor. You can keep the toes tucked. I call this half hero because we're going to step the hands back just to get the pressure off the hands, but not too much pressure on the ankles. I call it half hero because this would be considered a full hero, like this. So kind of a half hero. Just an opportunity for you to get into the wrists again. Maybe a little circle of the wrist, both directions, flex and point. And if you want to or need to, gentle presses of the top of the hand, little pulses into the mat. Okay, just get a little counter stretch there. All right, let's return to our tabletop posture here, returning to down dog. So if your hands are underneath the shoulders, just step them forward a little bit. Be sure to spread out your fingers. Get that stretch between each finger. Root into the floor with the hands, strong straight arms. Tuck your toes. Cow pose, inhale. Exhale into cat pose. Hold the posture. Lift the knees, send hips into the air. Adjust the feet and hands as needed. Here's our return to downward facing dog. Just going to do the other side. Here we go. Inhale, pick up your left foot and extend the leg straight back. Not worried about the height, just extend it as best as you can. Inhale. Then exhale, bend this left knee, bring the knee in towards your chin, shifting body forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. Let's set the left foot down, unless you can step all the way up to the top of the mat, but if not, just set it down. Set the right knee down, pull back a little bit so you have less weight in the hand so you can use your left hand to go get your left foot, pick it up and place it up a little higher. I like to get it like just behind the wrist. Re-lift the right knee over there, turn the leg so you can get the heel on the floor. Rise to fingertips. Remember to shift the weight back into that foot so you feel more centered and balanced. Rising to fingertips also assists your body to help lengthen. So I want the top of my head to point forward. Make sure this front knee is bent. I'm bringing both hands to the thigh. Press and lift perpendicular to the floor, so I'm facing forward. Inhale, extend the arms up. Exhale, lunge. Let's hold for a couple seconds here. Reaching high. Nice hip opener as well. Getting ready for our transition from warrior one into warrior two. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, turn torso towards the right side of the room. Again, bringing arms down to parallel. Check in with the arms. Check in with your feet too. I sometimes like to make an adjustment with the feet so I'm standing firmly. All right, side angle, transition, reaching forward with angled upper body. Rotate the arms, reach high and low. Keep this extension opening up through the chest and heart space and the hips. Ready for the side body stretch, reaching overhead just a little bit so you can feel that lengthening through the side body. Doing our very best. Now, I like to think of some poses as sideways poses, and I would consider Warrior Two and side angle sideways poses because your body is kind of facing sideways. And when we get into side plank, same thing. You'll be facing sideways. And actually, this pose kind of resembles side plank. Let's move. Breathe in. And as we exhale, just lift a little. Turn your torso to face forward. Take the arms out. Flip the palms up. Fold. Bring your hands down. Catch yourself with spread out fingers. Plant the hands. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. Heel lifted. Root strongly into the floor with the hands so you can then slide the left foot back. Here's our plank pose. Let's see if we can hold here for a few more seconds, still building strength. Here's plank, getting ready for side plank. All right, we are going to take another breather, however. Let's bring the knees to the floor. Let's sit back to hero pose, but we're not going to stay here too long. We're going to slide off the feet to the side so we can bring the legs around to the front. Sitting in the center of the mat. Let's get into our back bend because we do like to do a back bend in soft flow. We're going to use a block for this. So sitting in the center of the mat, be sure you have space behind you and go ahead and roll down. And when you roll down, go ahead and bring the knees into your body. Feel free to add some movement here. I like to do circles and figure eights. And just as we got into our wrists and fingers, you can do the same with your feet since your feet are now free. Flex and point, circle, and if you can, even wiggle your toes. And after a few moments of that, go ahead and set the feet onto the ground. Knees are bent as best as you can, even though you may not be able to see them. You want your shins to be straight up and down. All right, make sure you've got a block handy. You're going to inhale to fill up your lungs. Exhale completely through the mouth. Feel the core engagement. Using that energy now to lift the hips into the air. Take your block, or maybe you've got two small blocks or some stacked books, and just going to sit on the block. I'm just turning my block up one notch, so I'm not too high, but I'm not too low. I'm adjusting my arms, so it just feels a little bit more opening through the chest. I'm just bringing my arms down by my side. This is really just a resting moment. Taking some breaths so you can get reconnected to the breath, but we're also practicing a supported bridge pose or a supported back bend. Not a lot of effort in the back bend because we're sitting on the block. And even if you're not sitting up high, meaning if your hips aren't very high, we're still getting a nice opening through the whole front side of the body. Just consider it a nice counter pose to sitting if you happen to sit all day. Few more breaths. Concentrate on breathing in to fill up your lungs, that same expansiveness that we did earlier. You can exhale through the mouth if you'd like. And let's take two more breaths. Good. Ready to come out of the pose. We need to come off of our block. So just root or press your feet into the floor, activating the legs and hips. So you can lift your hips, slide the block out from underneath you. If you like to, just hold for a few more seconds. This is a little bit more active bridge pose. And then slowly and carefully roll your way down to the ground. Once you've safely landed, extend your legs out front, extend the arms behind you, and just reach and stretch in these opposite directions. Let's get ready to come back up to a seated posture. So draw your knees in towards your body. Roll to one side. Use your hands and a breath to help sit up nice and tall. Let's move into a boat pose. We're going to modify our boat pose. I'm adding this posture because it's a core strengthening position, because I would consider our side plank pose not only an upper body strengthening posture, being your best, but also core strengthening. So let's do boat pose. So let's keep the heels on the floor, feet flexed. So active feet, feel like your toes are coming in towards your shins. You can even place the hands on the floor here, and you can do that. Use the hands pressing into the floor to help extend the spine. just like this. Be aware if you're rounded or if your chin is dropped like this. All right, we really want to have a straight spine. That means even tipping the chin up a little bit so the neck is in the same alignment as the spine. If there's a little bit too much pressure on the hands, you can even just hold on to your legs and just kind of hold yourself up like this. While we're here, we're inhaling, feeling breath fill up the lungs, very expansive. Exhale through the mouth, and even feel the air leave the belly. And that's what we're doing. We're contracting the muscles here. And that's the core strengthening portion. A couple more breaths. And then we can soften. Actually, you can just sit up. We're going to return to hands and knees. We will need our blanket again. So I'm just going to lean to the side, swing the legs back behind me. Let's bring in that blanket again. I think I'll open it up to my rectangle so that the hands and knees can be here. So we're going to be moving into our variation of side plank. Let's set it up. So here we are in our tabletop. While you're here, just tap your right foot. You're going to swing the right foot off to the right side. I'm going to call this a kickstand. It's really just a way to help support our bodies in the pose. Now, lean a little bit to your right side. So your left leg is light enough so you can extend the leg back. Keep the toes on the floor. And even be sure this leg isn't loose. You want to feel like the leg is lifting, activating the glutes and hamstring. Hands are pressing firmly into the floor. This is our setup. And all we're going to do is basically just turn to the left side of the room, opening up sideways, bringing this left hand up into the air. And that's our variation of side plank pose, or Vasisthasana. So this left foot, I'm actually flexing the foot so it's active and strong. The foot's on the floor for a nice anchor. I have my kickstand, that's the right foot. Just opening up. And just play with this. If you want to, maybe extend the left arm overhead for a side stretch. Bring it up, even reach behind you just to open up a little bit more. And if you can imagine that bright, shiny star, okay? Pose of excellence here. All right, a lot of pressure on this bottom hand, so we're going to come out of it. Inhale here. Exhale, let's return to the earth with the left hand. Let's bring the left knee down to the floor. Bring your kickstand back in. Tuck your toes. Push back to our half hero so we can get off the hands again. So there was a lot of pressure on the right hand, so give it a little love. You may want to pulse the top of the hand into the mat or blanket very gently here, or just go back to those circles, flex and point, wiggle your fingers. Let's do the other side. All right, let's set it up. Same thing, so back onto our hands and knees. Push into the floor, strong hands and arms. Let's make a kickstand now with the left foot, swing it out to the side. I'm leaning to the left a little bit so I can extend the right leg back, keep the toes on the floor. Remember, the leg isn't loose. Lift, keep it activated. You're gonna feel this in your hamstrings, thigh, the front of the leg, and even your glutes. Still leaning into the left, I'm opening up to the right side of the room, extending the right hand up into the air. So here's our side plank pose variation, reaching high, flexing the right foot so the outer portion of the leg is activated. So that's two is acting as support for us. Feel free to extend the right arm overhead for the side stretch. Bring it back up. I'm leaning back just to open up, just feeling the brilliance of this star that's shining. Take some deep breaths here too. This very strong, active pose. Build strength in the upper body, shoulders, arms, and also just some core work, because your core is actually helping you to be in this sideways position. Let's come out. Inhale first. Exhale, let's return to the earth, a light landing with the right hand. Let's bring the right knee to the floor. Bring the left kickstand back in. While we're here, before we get off the hands, 2 breaths, cat and cow. Inhale, look up, arch the back. Exhale, round. One more time. Ooh, that feels good. Inhale, tip the chin up, open your heart, feel the little back bend. Exhale, round it all out. Feel free to tuck your toes. Let's sit back to half hero. Let's get off the hands and give the hands a little relief. Very nicely done. So that's our pose of excellence. Vashisthasana, side plank pose done with a variation. Let's finish our practice. All right, let's come off the blanket. Just going to set it to the side. Now you can use your blanket as extra padding if you want on the mat because we will be lying down. Okay, I'm just going to get the legs around to the front. Sit in the center of the mat. You can have your other props nearby, your bolster, block, and blanket if you want to use them. When you lie down, we'll go ahead and just bend the knees, feet flat on the floor, but just feel completely relaxed here for a moment. We're going to do a hip opener, a twist, and then we'll finish. First, as you're lying here, just return to the sensation of breath. And let's get into our hip opener. We did earlier cobbler's pose, or I called it bound angle pose, which is the more formal name. We're going to do another version of that. It's just the lying down version of it. Here's the setup. Bring the feet and legs together, and then let the knees fall open to either side of the room. As they open up, let the soles of your feet touch. There. It's going to be a significant stretch in the inner legs. We're not going to hold this too long, so I don't want you to feel like you're pulling or overstretching here in the inner legs. If you want, the arms can just remain down by your side, but for something a little extra, if you want, you can extend your arms behind you. Reach, and just notice how this affects your back, your hips, and the sides of your body. With the arms extended behind us, it actually might create a little bit more space in the hips, allowing them to open up a bit more. One more breath. If your arms are behind you, you can just bring them down by your side. Bring the knees together and give yourself a hug. Just catch the knees in your hands as you draw them in towards your heart. Go ahead and circle the feet here, flex and point. If you circle them, be sure to circle them in the opposite direction too. Let's move into our twist. Let's send both knees over to the left side of the room. And then extend your right arm to the right side of the room, and just creates a nice rotation through the spine. And just take a few breaths, 3 to 5 breaths, or even longer. Nice deep cleansing breaths. Really just sending a signal to your brain and body that we're coming to the close of the practice, coming to a place of stillness and meditation. How about one more breath? We'll carefully return to center. Hold here for a moment to allow the spine to realign, and then we'll take the knees over to the other side as you extend your left arm to the left side, and we'll hold here, taking deep breaths. When you feel complete, on your second side for your twist, you'll just slowly return to center, perhaps one more hug. You can set your feet down and then extend the legs straight out in front of you. Arms can just rest down by your side. This is Shavasana, our relaxing pose, a way of completing our moving practice. Just as we started in stillness, we end in stillness. Just quietly listen to the sound of your breath, being aware of how it still moves through your entire body. And as you're breathing, settling into meditation. And so your meditation focus might be on being your best. Even though sometimes we can be a little bit more critical of ourselves, feeling like we're not being our best at all, not feeling like we're doing a good job in certain things, just let that go for a moment. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, just let that thought move away from you so that what can emerge is your truth. And that truth is you are the best being that you can possibly be. Feel free to keep your eyes open, just gazing upward, or close your eyes as you move deeper into meditation. Notice how your body and your mind soften. Remember, you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Even as I end the practice, you can stay just like this. When you are ready to move, rather than moving too quickly to finish the practice, gently ease yourself out of the practice. And we start with breath. So maybe taking 5 slow, deep breaths here. That same expansion of the lungs. Exhaling. That nice release feeling. And as you're breathing deeply, starting to feel movement return to your body. When you are ready to move, you might bend your knees, plant your feet into the floor, so that you're able to then slowly roll to one side of your body, and then continue to move in slow motion and lift yourself up to seated. Feel free to bring in something soft to sit on. Let's just return to the place where we began. We sat up nice and tall, nice lengthened spine, shoulders relaxed. Here, your arms can just remain down by your side. Hands can be on your knees or in your lap. You can stay just like this, or even bring hands to heart center. Let's take one more breath together. Full breath in, complete breath out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.